There are only 4 weeks left before this fantasy playoffs start. So these are the probably most important weeks that you're going to be having coming up. And honestly, you need a lot more weeks like the Dallas Cowboys had this last week against the New York Giants. It was embarrassing for the Giants, to say the least. They've just had everything go wrong for them. I think Saquon Barkley, the smartest choice is for him to find a one-way ticket out of there. He should not have tried to do a contract hold off. He should have just said, let me go. Let me go. I want out of here. Also, we saw the Bills. Hopefully, they're going to start lighting up here sometime soon. We saw them let Ken Dorsey go. They no longer have their OC, and maybe we start to see Josh Allen on an upward trajectory. I have quite a few. I know a lot of people have quite a few Bills players on their teams. So maybe we start to see that get flipped here. I don't know.
If the Bills win that game, do they fire Ken Dorsey?
Probably not. You don't have a reason to.
Exactly, dude. I don't think Ken Dorsey is not the problem. He's a little bit of the problem. Don't get me wrong.
With the offense that high powered, though, there's no reason that you should not be a top offense in this. I mean, I know that they are, but you should just be blowing teams out of the water.
Well, it starts with turnovers. Josh Allen practically leads the NFL in interceptions.
He does lead the NFL in interceptions.
Well, there you go. James Cook fumbled twice yesterday. Happened to be on the first play of the game. I don't think firing Ken Dorsey solves your problem. I think was a little bit on Ken Dorsey, but also you got to look. He can't control the turnovers. He can't control the Josh Allen interceptions. He can't control the James Cook picks. Hell, they didn't lose that game because of their offense. They lost the game because Sean McDermott is supposed to be a defensive-minded coach and had 12 men on the field.
But you shouldn't have been able. They shouldn't have never been in that situation. And I think that's what it is their offensive struggles. I don't know. It's.
Well, I get it, but also it's the NFL, and you hear NFL players say all the time, you play in the NFL, you can lose any given week. They're in the NFL for a reason. And I just feel like Sean McDermott firing Ken Dorsey was a little bit to get the heat off Sean McDermott's back, because as a defensive-minded coach, as a head coach in the NFL for the Buffalo Bills, you shouldn't be having a 12 men on the field penalty on a field goal that's going to decide the game in the week 10 of the NFL season. You just don't do it.
So I'm looking right now. Where is Buffalo? I mean, I guess they do still have, in terms of yards per game, what are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. So they're currently 7th in the league and total offense and yards per game. So I don't know. Maybe you're right.
Look, they're playing a really hot Denver Broncos, team right now. They've won 3 in a row. I think they're playing great. Hey, look. All I got to say is freaking Sean Payton. He said there's a difference between a groove and a rut. Okay, there's a fine line, and so right now I think we're in a groove. So we're looking pretty good for being 4-5. I think we can go 500 next week, and I think we'd be shaping up pretty well. We just beat the freaking Chiefs and went on to beat the Bills, so I think they're playing pretty good.
It is I wouldn't say they're playing good. I don't know.
I think they're playing
doing
good.
enough to get.
They're not
by.
playing great.
Yeah, they're doing good. Yeah, they're doing enough to get by.
Good.
I mean,
they're not
but
playing great.
Again, it's hard to say because they did beat 2 quality teams. I mean, how much are you looking for? Honestly, like I can't knock them. I watched some of the Broncos games and it's watching paint dry. Those games. Well, tough.
The beginning of the season.
So is watching the Bills. The Bills, the biggest frauds in the NFL.
That is true. That's not bad.
Oh no, Russell Wilson's looking like himself, at least for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Cortland Sutton gave us a little bit of that toe swag drag, toe drag swag.
There we go.
They gave us a little bit. Hey, but we had him in our DraftKings, and we won a little bit of cash.
We did. Hopefully, y'all tuned into that. I know it didn't get a ton of views, but yeah, me and Dalton did a little DraftKings thing, and that we're gonna start doing weekly as a squad here, and we did enough to place. We won some money. We got it. We were one of the top.
We did it.
Well, so we had a top, I don't know, 10, 15 lineup for sure. So pretty good. So
easy
yeah,
money.
Easy money.
We're gonna do it again.
week to
We're gonna
week.
do it again.
Also,
hot.
with that, make sure that y'all are checking out our Discord group as well. We are posting bets in there daily. I am active in there almost every single day, trying to lose as much money as I can betting on the NBA. I've been doing fairly well betting on the NBA, NFL, NCAA, not necessarily my sport. My record's pretty bad, lost a lot of units on that. However, though, the NBA is where it's at. Love the NBA, and I will continue to bet on that consistently. So if you're looking for a betting community, by all means, go join that group, get in there, follow us on Twitter. We're also posting some of our picks on there as well. But the purpose of this episode is we are going to be doing a rankings for our positions, which are wide receivers, quarterbacks, and running backs. So those are kind of the most important positions heading into these final few weeks of the season. I know people can make a case for tight ends, but tight ends, there's not a whole lot of leeway. You kind of have your top guys and then maybe a little bit outliers here and there. So we're going to cover the top 3 position groups. And the first one that we're going to talk about are the wide receivers in these week 11 matchups. Topping it off, I have Tyreek Hill going against the Raiders. The Raiders do have one of the top defenses versus wide receivers, but again, it's Tyreek Hill in this Miami Dolphins offense, and it's just hard not to have him as your number one wide receiver week to week. So I do have him there. Another matchup that I really like, though, is the person right under him, and that's Keenan Allen versus Green Bay. We saw him have a very great week this last week for fantasy managers, and I think coming in versus Green Bay, who has just struggled against, I mean, they've just struggled as a team, and they have so many injuries. Jair Alexander looks like he may be on his way to missing another week, which, I mean, they just traded Rasul Douglas a couple weeks ago to the Buffalo Bills. So really, they just have a depleted defense. I think Keenan Allen is going to have another heck of a week here, putting him in the top 2. I also like CeeDee Lamb here versus the Carolina Panthers. But I feel like with this one, CeeDee Lamb, I think he may find himself getting a little bit of struggle. I like him. He is a wide receiver 1 here, but versus Carolina, I think Dallas is just gonna torch Carolina, and I don't know how much they're actually going to be throwing the ball. I don't know how much they're going to need to throw the ball. Although if you look last week, you could have said the same thing about the Giants, and they just absolutely torched the Giants throwing the ball through the air, and they didn't stop from there. Another guy that I like here, kind of scooting down the list at number 9, is I really like Terry McLaurin versus the Giants, who we were just talking about. I think that Sam Howell is going to have a huge week this week, and Terry McLaurin is going to feast off of it. Again, that's another team that's just depleted. You can tell all of their momentum has gone absolutely out the window. So because of that, I think Terry McLaurin going to come in, have a really good week. He's starting to easily become Sam Howell's favorite target week to week. He's arguably the best wide receiver in that crew. So really like him, finding him in the top 10 this week. But then looking here at number 13, the wide receiver 2s for this week, and that's Tank Dell going against the Arizona Cardinals. I think that this game is going to be another shootout game. Houston finds a way to compete in every single game. We saw this last week. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think that this Arizona game is going to be another close one. Tank Dell is just feasting in this offense. I do think that Nico Collins he's questionable for this week. So I don't know what that looks like. I mean, we've seen Tank Dell have phenomenal weeks with Nico Collins in the lineup. So I do think that Tank Dell is still going to have a great week here versus Arizona. So putting him as a wide receiver 2, kind of a fringe wide receiver 1 for these matchups. Someone else that's kind of slipped down this list that I think is worth talking about is Amari Cooper. We see him here at number 21, Amari Cooper versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh, the thing to note here is that Pittsburgh is just horrendous versus wide receivers. But on the flip side of that, Deshaun Watson is now out for the season. So don't really know what that looks like. Amari Cooper is still a very good wide receiver. I don't think that he's bench worthy at this point. I think we got to see what it looks like for them. And especially with this week, he's someone to highlight because I don't even want to say boomer bust worthy, because I don't think that he's boomer bust worthy for this. I think you're looking at probably 10 to 12 points, but I think that he has a very high ceiling. He's someone that easily could pop off for 24, 25 this week. But again, it does get a little hairy there.
Yeah, and DJ, actually looking at your list, I think someone that I really like heading into this week is actually going to be DK Metcalf going up against the Los Angeles Rams this week. I think with Geno Smith being able to throw the ball near 50 times a game and giving him plenty of opportunities, DK just looks absolutely just healthy this time of year right now. And he is obviously just become a reliable target. I think he had 13 targets last week for Geno. And so I'm just loving the amount of target share he's receiving and just the amount of looks. And so just this is going to be a great matchup for him versus the Rams. I think it's going to be a high scoring game for the Seahawks. They're going to pass early and often. So I'm looking forward to DK being having a pretty good game this week.
Yeah, DK is also someone that I kind of view as that fringe wide receiver one. I know he's in here at number 16. Rams do have a pretty good defense versus wide receivers. So that's kind of why I've put him at 16, but I do see his ceiling being very high in this Seattle offense that looks like it's getting going. So, but anyways, that's all we got for the wide receivers, and we'll go ahead and go to the quarterbacks. Nathan has that group covered for us. So Nathan, what are these rankings here looking like?
Yeah, so I got my rankings based on some matchups and how some quarterbacks have played throughout the year. Um, One of the matchups that I like that I favor the most this week at quarterback play, and I have as my number one quarterback, and that is the one and the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Dak Prescott, baby. I am a big time Cowboys fan. Y'all might think I'm a little biased here, but we just saw what he's been able to do the past couple of weeks. I mean, even they lost to the Eagles, but he almost threw for 400 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He played very very well in that Philadelphia game, and then we just saw what he did against the Giants. They torched the Giants through the air, and DJ kind of mentioned in the wide receivers about how he believes that CeeDee Lamb's a wide receiver number one, but doesn't know how well the production is going to be due to the fact that they're going to torch Carolina. I believe that they are going to torch Carolina. I think they're going to do it the same way that they torched the Giants. And I believe that's going to be through Dak Prescott throwing the ball to CeeDee Lamb. I really think Dak Prescott's going to have another hell of a football game this Sunday against the Panthers. They're a very bad team. They're probably one of the worst teams in the NFL. And I fully expect Dak Prescott's play to carry over this week into Carolina, and I'm excited to see what he can do against the Panthers, and that's why I have Dak as my number one quarterback this week. And my next quarterback I want to talk about is Josh Dobbs. I mean, there was a nickname that they were calling for him, the Pastronaut, right there, baby. Josh Dobbs, the Pastronaut, dude. Let me tell you, we might as well just give this man the MVP. Okay. No, all jokes aside, he's playing the Bears, and the Bears defense has struggled at times, but I really do believe, he played decently well with Arizona, but now he's on the Minnesota Vikings, and he has better weapons than we had with the Arizona Cardinals. Not to mention he's going to get Justin Jefferson back anytime soon, and they're on a playoff run. And I really believe that Josh Dobbs can push his team into the playoffs, and I think he's going to continue to have a great year. When I was looking earlier this week, he was quarterback number 7. He was one spot ahead of Patrick Mahomes. And I saw some people take Patrick Mahomes first, second, third round in drafts this year. So I really like Josh Dobbs. I really like him in the Minnesota offense. I think he's just going to get better with Kevin O'Connell there, and I think he's going to get even better when they bring back Justin Jefferson. So enough of that. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to another good matchup I like here, and it's C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is rookie. I believe he is rookie of the year. I think he's already won it, and they're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. This Houston team has been just incredible. I mean, they have exceeded expectations. What everybody thought they were going to do, probably other than D'Amico Ryans. I mean, you're going to expect to win football games, but I mean, they're above 500, and they're excited. They're a very exciting team to watch. They just came off of a great road win against the Cincinnati Bengals. CJ Stroud had another game-winning drive. I really like him, and I believe that he's going to be a great matchup against the Jaguars. I think he's going to have another great game. I think he's going to pass the ball extremely well. I think he's not going to have any turnovers, and if he does, it'll be maybe one. But he's been very good at protecting the football. He's been very good at reading defenses, and he's transitioned into the NFL
All right, guys. Yes. So, Nathan, yes, I agree a lot with what you were saying there with your quarterbacks, especially CJ Stroud. I'm very high on him right now. I think, as a lot of people are, especially in the running for Rookie of the Year, I think it's his for grabs. So, I think we can all agree with that for the most part. Now, guys, kicking it off, getting into the running backs. Looking here at this top 24 list that we have, the names that kind of stick out to me right now is at number 5, Jameer Gibbs. Guys, as we seen last week, he had 19 touches. Uh, he was he. David Montgomery had more touches than he did. However, he outpaced him in yardage by 5 more touches. So, guys, I'm not worried about it. He also had 2 touchdowns. He was able to punch it in from pretty close to the goal line. So obviously, to me, they're going to try and give him as many of the goal line looks as they can. It seems like with David Montgomery being out, we kind of got to see what Jameer Gibbs was made of. He kind of got to prove himself and to that organization, and I think he did a great job of it. And it looks like he didn't lose very much of anything. This is a very split backfield, but they're both very good backs. And Jameer Gibbs, I can see, is still going to be a very productive back. I have him there at number 5 for us. So if you look on the list, the next running back that I currently have is Josh Jacobs there behind Jameer Gibbs versus the Miami Dolphins. So coming into this, Josh Jacobs, I feel like, is someone who has touted the rock more times than anyone so far this season, and probably last season too. That's why he was so good last year, is because how many freaking opportunities this man gets on the field. I feel like he's just constantly slept on. He is the true definition of a bell cow back this league, and he is definitely probably the only bright spot on this whole team. He carries the team here for the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm predicting that this is going to continue to be the case as they're going to try to compete in a very hard division there in the AFC West. And coming in versus a Miami defense, this defense actually, running backs have actually performed very well versus this defense, and they've performed well above their current weekly ADP. So I'm projecting Josh Jacobs to come in, carry the rock, tout it more than 20 plus times, and he's going to put up over 100 yards. So I have him there right there behind Jahmyr Gibbs. I just think Jahmyr Gibbs is more of a home run hitter with his limited amount of opportunities, but Josh Jacobs could easily surpass him. So I have him right there as a close second. Funny enough, right behind him, guys, I like this name too. And I haven't been a big fan of him the last couple of weeks, but it's Tony Pollard. Guys, he's coming into a very positive game script here this week versus Carolina. This defense has been really struggling. I think they're actually not a bad defense, but it's just the offense that really kind of hurts them as they're constantly on the field and they can't really recover. So I think Dallas is going to get ahead in this game, and it's going to be a very positive game script for Tony Pollard. So this past week was Dak Prescott's game. This week's going to be Tony Pollard's. They're going to lean heavily on the run game this week. Just watch. So if
You
you're
better be right. I'm starting him. I'm going to take your word on it. And if I start him and he doesn't, me and everybody else who start him, y'all comment on this video. I got Dalton's phone number. I got his location. We'll drive to his house and we'll kick his ass.
there you go. Hey man, the opportunities have been there. Opportunities have been there. Hasn't looked real sexy lately. Like he's only averaged like what 5 or 6 points the last few weeks, last 3 weeks. But guys, he's due. He's due big, and this is the week. If he is due, it's this one versus Carolina. So guys, be on the lookout for it there for Tony Pollard. Okay, guys. So if you drop down a couple more spots there at number 10, I have Devon A-Chain. Guys, he's coming back from injury. He's going to be electrifying. I already know it. He's going to bring life back to this Miami run attack. So guys, we saw how he was before the injury. I don't think the injury was as gruesome as we think it was. And guys, if you go back and look at what Mike McDaniels was talking about, guys, he wanted to give him as much time as he could to really let that knee injury heal. And I think that was definitely the right decision, especially seeing how good this running back is. Taking an injury like that and then getting him on the field too early would be devastating if another injury happened and then he's out for the rest of the season, and who knows when he'd be back the year prior, right? So having a running back like that, knowing that your team is going to be in qualifying or trying to compete for that playoff spot, which I think they very well deserve it. You definitely need a running back like that, and you need to give them that time to heal. And I think they did it right. I think he's going to come back healthy and strong, and he's going to perform very well versus this Las Vegas Raiders defense. Guys, finally, the last running back that I have, someone who I feel might be a little bit of a sleeper. I know they just lost their quarterback, but that is Jerome Ford. Guys, I don't think this man gets enough respect. Jerome Ford is someone who's been definitely, with Nick Chubb being out, has received lots of respect there in that locker room. He's averaging 15 to 17 touches per game, and he's actually performed fairly well. Guys, his offensive line is not that bad. I think with Deshaun Watson being out and playing a Pittsburgh defense who's not, I guess, the most stacked as of right now. They are dealing with a lot of injuries. They are a middle of the pack defense, but this is someone who I feel like they could lean on, especially with their quarterback being out. If the game script is somewhat positive, or if it's a meddling game where the score is going back and forth, I can see Jerome Ford getting tons of opportunities to run the ball and help them win this ball game. So Jerome Ford is someone who I have more of a sleeper, but someone who can actually outproduce their ADP. And if you're on DraftKings or something like that, he's someone who's currently pretty cheap that you could get and be able to hopefully carry your team and maybe afford someone a little higher price there if you're doing your daily fantasy. So Jerome Ford is someone that I'm looking for and that you should be too. So guys, anyways, this is our list 1 through 24. Guys, definitely check it out. Some of these running backs on here, especially the ones that I've stated, are someone who I believe is definitely going to hit this week. So keep an eye on them.
Absolutely. And I like the guy that you currently have at 18 in Rashad White. I think he is due for a big week. I know he's going against that San Francisco defense, but I really like him just because of the receiving side of him. I think he's going to put up good wide receiver numbers as a running back, because even if you look at his last 4 weeks, he's gone 4 straight weeks of at least 45 plus receiving yards. So he's had a minimum, and then that's just not even the receptions. He's gone 6, 7, 4, 2, and a touchdown in that last game. So he's easily putting up 8 to 10 fantasy points just in receiving alone off of that in every week. So I really like him in that matchup too. So I think he's
also guys, keep an eye on number 24 there too, Devin Singletary. That guy just had 30 touches last week, 30 carries. So
Yeah.
and a negative game script too. So So guys, I would definitely be keeping an eye on that one. Was that an outlier, or is that the new beginning? So I don't know. So keep an eye on that one. That could probably be someone that you could definitely stash up on, or you could buy low on. So
Well, I was going to kind of pitch in here. One of the guys that I'm kind of interested in this week and see how he does is Isaiah Pacheco against the
that's a good one, yeah.
Eagles. The Eagles defense has kind of struggled a little bit this year, and I know their front seven is phenomenal, but it's a big game. Monday Night Football, Chiefs, Eagles, Jason versus Travis. I mean, they say Pacheco runs angry. I believe that Pacheco started off hot. I believe Pacheco's up for a big game, and I'm not saying that he's going to be a top 3 running back this week, but I'm interested to see how he plays this week against the Eagles defense.
Yeah, nonetheless, it'll be a pretty good week for these all of these running backs and everyone that we just listed. So again, always like we said, all of this information will be posted in our Discord. So if you would like early access to it, join our Discord and you can get in there. We can start chit-chatting some of it, and shoot, who knows? You may even change some of our minds. And that's all that we want. We want to build a community where y'all feel open to tell us and to give us valuable insight from week to week. And again, in there as well is a sports betting community. So you can go in there and look at everything and hopefully tell some of our bets, maybe fade some of our bets. Either way, let us know. But that's all that we have for these week 11 matchups for the wide receivers, quarterbacks, and running backs. And hopefully it's enough to get you a dub this week. But we will see y'all next time.
Rod the pine, baby.